Hello and welcome to Creative Chaos. Happy Thursday. I see over on YouTube, Madness Comics Network pops over there, and George Washington X have checked in. So thank you for popping in and checking in over on YouTube. I don't see anybody else anywhere else. We are streaming to Pilled, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. So, yeah, thank you. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. And Creative Chaos is a show created by Flip City Magazine, us, to highlight fascinating people creating fantastic things outside the mainstream instead of just sitting back and complaining that the mainstream is poop. So, that is what the show is about. I've got a really, really great guest for you tonight, Mike Barron. We'll bring him in a few minutes. But first, as always, Flips Creative Chaos is sponsored by Flip City Magazine. And here is our latest print edition, the 2023 smear campaign, with the cover actually designed by next week's guest. We'll talk more about him a little bit later. I just wanted to let everybody know we have probably the best product on our website at flipcitymag.com is our six pack. It's probably our best selling because it's a crazy value, and we take you on a trip through history. Everything that here are the magazines you get in the six pack. You get volume 3 way back when we had nobody helping us. So my husband wrote and illustrated the entire thing. Volume 5, right after the election or the selection. You get volume 6, where our guns are literally drawn. Volume 11, one of our very first interviews with Quite Frankly. And it also includes volume 13 that has this really, really nice wraparound cover. I'm just going to open it real quick because I love the wraparound cover on this one. And that illustration was one of the main illustrations for our short story, Pedos versus Ultramad, and you see there in the Pedo wagon. And it includes volume 19 as well. It's $40. So you can go to flipcitymag.com and pick that up. And for the first 3 people that order a 6-pack tonight, I will actually throw in a bonus issue, a surprise one, my choice. But guaranteed, it'll still be funny. So thank you, Flip City Magazine, for sponsoring Creative Chaos. And it is now time to bring in Batman, my sidekick, because I'm super awesome. What is up, Batman?
Hey, 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 how you doing?
I'm good. Are those lemons on your shirt?
These are lemons on my shirt. It was the shirt I wore on the drive back to Gainesville tonight. Right. I was going to wear my Adventure Time shirt, which was a fun shirt, characters from Adventure Time that you may or may not know, but
I
didn't get
know
a
the
chance to.
adventure. I know Adventure Time.
So I have a Hawaiian shirt from Adventure Time. I have a Batman Hawaiian shirt. We literally just walked in the house, as you know, from a 185-mile trip back from South Florida.
Okay, so you guys were hauling ass. You really
We were
did just
hauling
break it.
ass literally just before the start of the show.
I really appreciate that you take creative chaos so seriously and you want to be here on time. You want to. I mean, not always successful
I
getting here on
I
time.
do my damnedest. Life gets in the way of living it sometimes, so I have to make some concessions now and then.
Hey, actually, I'm 100% supportive of you doing stuff in actual meat space, and streaming is not your life. That sounds a little depressing to me.
It can be, and that's why I hustle my bustle to do what I can.
Yeah, you should do. Well, I'm super excited for tonight because I freaking love our guest. Mike Barron is fantastic. I kind of view him as like a champion of the indies and the small guys. He is so super cool. But also because I am handing you control of the interview because you are my resident comic geek, so you know all the right questions to ask. So I am officially handing the reins to you, so you can bring Mike in anytime you want.
So why don't we introduce our wonderful guest right now, a longtime comic book artist, storyteller, fan of in his own right. He is a fanboy just as much as I am. Let's bring in our wonderful guest, Mike Baron. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Doing well, thank you.
I have been a huge fan of yours since Badger Comics, and I know a little bit more about you and it, the comic book now than I did previously because I did some homework. But I want to touch on that at some point in our conversation. But the main thing that I've found with you and your art and your work in general is that you have a proponency for illustrating and writing vigilante stories, and I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, everything you've done so far is that I can find is always been vigilante based. Nexus, Badger, your current situation, with the current book
Private
line that you're working
American.
on. Thank you. Like Punisher. I mean, you've done nothing but vigilanteism, and I'm
Well,
curious. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I recently, my last book was Florida Man, and Florida Man's only purpose is to make you laugh, and I guarantee that you will laugh out loud. And before that, the book next to that was Bronze Star, a supernatural Western. And the reason I wrote Bronze Star was because I'd always wanted to work with Pat Broderick. I said, Pat, what do you want to draw? He said, I want to draw a supernatural Western. And that's how Bronze Star came about. I'm very proud of all my work, including the Vigilantes, but I do a lot of other stuff now. In fact, Florida Man is a novel. I have 3 novels out, and it's by far my best-selling novel. People write that they had to, listening to it on audio, they had to pull over to the side of the road. They were laughing so hard they couldn't see. Others get kicked out of their bedrooms at night because they're reading the book and keeping their wife up laughing out loud. And the last Florida Man graphic novel was a big success. And people, everybody who's read it has laughed out loud. But with whatever I'm doing, my number one job is to entertain, and I never lose sight of that fact.
Well, Badger was a college book for me, and it was extremely entertaining. The multiple personalities. I mean, for people who don't know the comic run of Badger, the character Norbert Skies is actually a Vietnam veteran, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, now he's an Afghan veteran.
Afghan veteran, okay. So they've changed some of his backstory.
Well, I have in the tradition of comics revisionism.
Very good. Very good. And he suffers from multiple personality disorders. And those multiple personalities tend to get him into trouble when he's not getting into trouble on his own with his druid sidekick. Well, actually, he's the sidekick to the druid, technically. And Daisy, his nurse aide, secretary / Gal Friday.
True enough, as far as it goes.
And that's as far as it goes. So getting into your vigilanteism expressions, where does that come from in terms of your history and your background?
Well, I'm just attracted to those types of characters, as are most Americans. Hence the popularity of vigilantes throughout our history and in fiction. Death Wish with Charles Bronson, Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood. But before that, there were real vigilantes who were necessary to civilize the West. Wyatt Earp was a vigilante, so was Kit Carson and Wild Bill Hickok. And the reason they were vigilantes is because as civilization spread west, civilization didn't really keep up with the guys that were the pioneers and getting out there first. And there was no law when the white man came to Arizona or New Mexico or Montana or Colorado. There was no law. There were just people there looking to make it legally or illegally. And when disputes broke out, they had to settle them by themselves. There were no cops to run to. There was no sheriff. There was no army out there, and so brave men stepped up. And of course, they weren't all brave men. A lot of vigilantes were scumbags, murdering scumbags. But the ones I cited, Wyatt Earp was a stand-up guy, and so were his brothers. So was Kit Carson and Wild Bill Hickok.
Yeah. And then of course you've got the movies that were made, of them, like the movie Tombstone and others. But I wanted to ask you, because you did bring up Dirty Harry. I'm an old school spaghetti Western guy, and Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin are some of my favorite cowboy Western actors back in the day. So I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite Clint Eastwood movie, current or past?
Gran Torino.
Oh,
Nice.
I know
It's a
that would
great one.
surprise you. Yeah.
No, that's a modern vigilantism.
My favorite Western is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and that's a vigilante story too. And Lee Marvin's the bad guy in that.
Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. I know that you've had a lot of time spent with the Punisher and all the stuff that's been perpetrated now with woke culture and woke societies. But, Punisher is a vigilante, and carrying forward that cowboy-esque and that Dirty Harry style of justice. Why? I mean, besides Marvel going woke and broke because Disney bought them, why do they get so upset with the Punisher symbol being utilized by so many different military, police, and MAGA people?
Well, as you pointed out, they went woke, and woke is incompatible with common sense. They've lost sight of what made this country great. And frankly, they're embarrassed by the Punisher, and that's why they've dragged him through the mud. I created a character called Private American. It's a very recent book. You can get it at my site, baroncomics.com, and I wrote Private American to show what the Punisher should be doing today. He's down on the southern border, interrupting child rapists, people smugglers, drug smugglers, and terrorists are pouring across our unprotected southern border. When word of that got out, the left went insane. There's a far left hate site called Daily Kos, and they ran an article that was headlined, Punisher creator Mike Baron releases another racist AF comic book. Well, number one, I didn't create the Punisher. And number two, nobody had read the book at that point. In fact, the purple-haired woman who wrote that article has never read anything I've written. She was just acting on reflex, the way the left does, just striking out at things that they perceive are morally wrong when they have no moral compass themselves. We made a PDF available to the Daily Kos in case they wanted to actually read the book. That was 2 years ago, and as of today, they have not looked at the book.
You're muted.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That you've got an organization. Well, that's not interesting. It's actually very laughable because you're right. Woke brokenness has definitely sunk to new lows. They don't read or understand or comprehend, and they're so out of their mind that they literally are insane. And as they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, which is now a clinical diagnosis. And I should know, my ex is a psychologist, and she suffers from it every day.
Your exorcist? Did you say your exorcist?
No, yes, I exorcised her from my life recently, so thank you. But carrying forward, I heard an interview you did recently, and you mentioned your new book, also the Nexus series that you carrying on with.
Nexus Scourge.
Scourge. Thank you. And you said something that intrigued me because I'd never looked at the character Nexus in this way. In the interview, you mentioned that Nexus was kind of like an intergalactic executioner.
He's a reluctant executioner of mass
Reluctant.
murderers.
Could you go into detail on the character and the book and Scourge and what the story arc represents and where it's going?
Scourge is about an evil that predates civilization. In fact, it predates the Big Bang. Before there was a galaxy, before there were stars, before there were life, this thing existed, sleeping, and only woke when civilization began to grow. It hates civilization. It has slumbered for billions of years. It becomes apparent to the civilized worlds when they begin blinking off, disappearing at the fringes of the galaxy, thousands of light years away. And of course, it takes time for this information to travel to the center. The only instantaneous form of communication between stars is telepathy. And there are enough telepaths to alert people in the center that this is happening. The lights are blinking off at the fringes of the galaxy, and it's moving towards the center of the galaxy. And finally, Nexus becomes aware of this and becomes aware that this is the oldest, most ancient evil of them all, and that it only exists to destroy life. And so he knows he has to take it on. And it's his greatest challenge. When I say he's a reluctant executioner of mass murderers, readers know that when he sleeps, he dreams of them and their crimes. And when he wakes, he knows that he has to remove the subject of the dream, or the dreams will recur more and more intensely every night until they drive him mad. There's a lot more to it. There's 40 years of continuity and world building there. There's a lot of great characters. But I have 3 rules when I write a story. My first rule, and I never lose sight of this, is it's my job to entertain. And every page of that book is entertaining. Every panel. I don't waste a word or a picture. It all has to add to the story. Number 2 is show, don't tell, which is a good rule for life as well as for storytelling. And that applies to prose as well, but especially to comics. And it means that any information you can impart to the reader visually that advances the story, you should, and save your words for characterization and dialogue and make the dialogue meaningful. And number 3 is be original. And that means only that I try to bring my own experiences to bear and what I've heard and what I've learned that I haven't seen before in other people's writing. I want to keep it fresh. I want the dialogue to be entertaining, even when it's brutal. So I'm always looking for fresh ways to say things. And for those who want to do comics, and everybody does, you have to be careful not to write too much. We've all opened a comic and we've seen 500 words in 8 caption boxes obscuring the picture, whatever it is, and the mind clouds over and you think, oh no, man, this looks like work. I pick up a comic for entertainment. So you got to parse your words out like gold coins, which I try to do. And I'm less wordy now than I ever was, which doesn't mean my books are without words. I mean, the comic books, they got plenty of words in them, but the words all advance the story and they're all entertaining.
And honestly, that's one of the main reasons why I picked up comic books as a kid. I was diagnosed having dyslexia early on in my education, which is odd because I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. And so we're probably close in age. That when I finally got to college in the early 80s and I was reading comic books still, I had the black and white Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle comics. I was always a Batman fan, hence my name, Bruce Wayne, aka the Batman. That's been my moniker for as long as I can remember. I watched the 66 TV show when it first came out, and I was just a kid in diapers back then. But to be able to look at a comic book and understand the story and what was going on without having to read too much made it easier for me to start reading regular books. And I was always a little behind in reading because of my dyslexia, and I wasn't diagnosed until like 4th or 5th grade. But, back then in the early 70s, there really wasn't dyslexia. It just, I had a reading deficiency. And I try explaining to them that I don't see the words in the right order. So they really didn't give it a true form of diagnosis. They just said that I have a slight disability that prevents me from reading the words correctly. And that's why comic books came in so handy for me and helped me learn how to read quicker. I still can't read fast, but I still am able to read better than I was when if I'm tired, words will flip on me. And so I was more of a movie or a TV guy than a comic book guy than I was a book reader. And my sisters were both voracious readers, and they would go through like a book or two in a week. So I couldn't, and we go to the library every weekend. So I just couldn't get into it, which is why I started picking up the comic book. Back then, they would do compendiums, and so I would go to the library to the comic section and get hardback books that they had at those times. So I appreciate your candor with that. And the more wordy a comic book is, the less somebody wants to read it. 100%. I agree with that totally. Um, I happen to be bringing this back, and I know I keep touching on Badger, but I'm friendly on Facebook with Steve Butler, and I've had some conversations with him through Facebook Messenger as well. And I know you're still friendly with that family. Do you have any work lined up to join them or have them join you in working with you again?
It's funny, because I just messaged Steve the other day saying I'd love to do something with him, but I have a machine that publishes my comics. Baron Comics is headed by Chris Brawley, who's a videographer. If it weren't for Chris, I wouldn't be putting all these great books out. Chris does our videos, and they're the best videos anyone has ever seen for a crowd-funded comic book. I do have a Badger comic in the works. It's at least a year away because my pipeline is jammed. Right now, the next book we're doing is Scourge. It's campaigning right now. And then if Scourge succeeds, we're going to re-release the first 3 black and white issues, but colored by Kelsey Shannon. Kelsey is a genius. Have you seen his art?
Mm-hmm.
Could you play that trailer for Scourge?
Yeah. Hey, Cosmic, where's the best place to find it, Mike?
Well, I emailed it to you well, I didn't email it. I did it on Facebook, but I'll send you the link again. It's in your Flip City direct messages. It's just the baroncomics.com. You click that on, it'll take you straight to the trailer.
Okay. Luckily, I kept my Facebook open, which I don't do very often.
Okay, while you're doing that, I
Okay,
just
cool.
want to do a quick shout out to Paul Thaddeus, Hang 10 Alien Surfer, our buddy Norm. Good to see you guys out there. Thank you for joining us on Foxhole. But I'm going to mute myself now and digress so that we can play this trailer.
Yeah. Actually, oh, look at,
Sound.
yeah. See, I don't need to have send anything to cause. Hey,
Guys, you're not hearing the sound. The audience
No.
is. I'm going to
yeah.
restart it. This
All
is
right.
that monitor thing I mentioned at the beginning.
Fine.
But you're not hearing it, but the audience is.
Okay.
Actually, Cosmic, there is no sound on the podcast. I'm not hearing anything on.
Click that little speaker. See if that's it.
Yeah.
It's live. We'll try this again. You guys go ahead for just a second,
Yeah,
and I'll
let's
get that
talk for
fixed.
one moment. Yeah, hey, Mike. So with Flip City, we haven't really done the whole crowdfunding thing much, but your videos are very inspirational for us to do more animation because we have those skills. And I've also heard on other podcasts is those types of videos sell a campaign when you put a little motion to them. So it looks good. I didn't
Well,
see
that's
that
all
one
thanks
before.
to Chris Brawley. He's a genius. He puts these videos together and they just kill. I mean, they're the best videos anybody's ever seen with a comic book crowdfunder, and everybody's doing videos now. And some are very good, but ours are the best.
Well, you will have to agree with yourself, but
I do have to agree with myself.
yes.
I do it too much, but
I see now with me, I'm like, I think we're going to compete with you. And I'm going to say, no, sorry, Mike. I think now we have the best animated videos and it'll be fun competition.
I look forward to seeing them.
I think it'll be fun. Um,
Real
yes.
quick, thank you, No Prisoners podcast, for the 451 gold pills on Foxhole. Fantastic. Thank you,
Awesome.
good sir.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
I've been very bad at checking in with chat. So yeah, Vulcan Lives checked in over on YouTube as well. Thank you, 451 from No Prisoners Podcast for the donation. And hello, my friends, Paul Thaddeus. And who else was over here? Oh yeah, Hangton Alien Surfer. Thanks for popping in. And you guys, I love Creative Chaos so much. We bring in really, really cool, awesome people creating the culture that needs to be created right now. Um, Especially Mike, who's creating only vigilante characters, apparently. Maybe, I had a question about that actually, Mike, while you guys were talking about vigilante characters, just kind of thinking about how there's a real movement within the woke broke, cancel pig, Legion of Screamer crowd to like defund the police and everything. What do you think societally? Do you think we're going to see actual vigilantism kind of come back because the rule of law is kind of broken?
I think what we're seeing is a huge transfer of people out of blue states to red states because they're sick of being abused by their governments and ignored. The open border is the number one issue on the minds of Americans. I wrote a book about the police called Thin Blue Line, which is also available on my website. And it's about two cops trying to survive the night in a riot-torn city. It was ripped right from the headlines of 2020. And that's where the story came from. I was watching TV as city after city, all Democrats, were burned to the ground, destroying the businesses of thousands of small business people who could least afford to lose it. And always there was some idiot out front saying these mostly peaceful protests.
Mhm.
And then politicians, people who had sworn on a Bible to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law, started calling for defunding the police, and it made no sense. And that's why I wrote the book. It's called Thin Blue Line. And I'm very proud of it. And again, its first job is to entertain, and I aced it. Everybody who's read that book has been thrilled, and they demanded another one, which is in the works now. The pencil artist, Joe Arnold, was a full-time police officer while he penciled it.
Oh, in what part of the country?
It's an unnamed Midwestern city, but it could have been Chicago. It could have been Tulsa. Well, no, it could not have been Tulsa, but it could have been Portland or Seattle or Los Angeles or New York or Philadelphia or Baltimore, anywhere these Democrats lie and cheat their way into office and then defund the police and start taking kickbacks. And even the people who elected them are.
And have their own security forces too.
Oh yeah, they all have their own private security forces. And Fannie Willis, who trumped up this kangaroo court for Trump down in Georgia, She was paying her lover hundreds of thousands of dollars for security,
Mhm.
you know. And Ilhan Omar, who called for defunding the police, she spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on her security as well. They all do.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing too. I think it's just kind of in your face that they want us all to know they are our rulers,
That's right.
and there's rules for thee, not for me, all that kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
It's all demoralization and all that crap. But um yeah,
That
I understand why you've been canceled by the left if you're writing on these things.
Hi, baby. I'm on the line. I'm on the air.
so Mike, I want to go back to that, what she just said about you being canceled, um, and bring up, thank you, bring up something that just kind of clicked with me when you said it earlier, talking about Nexus and Scourge being the reluctant executioner. Um, it the association that came to mind was that Scourge is like the cabal or the de-elitists that I call them, the deletists, trying to delete us from society, trying to delete us from the world.
That's a
That
good one.
they actually came up with their, I guess, their evil from an external source, and their external source, I guess, would be Satan. So is Scourge like Satan? Is that another?
You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of credence to your theory. In fact, there's a columnist on Substack named Elizabeth Nixon who points out that many of these elites worship the devil in private. They call it by different names. But no, Scourge is an ancient evil that predates civilization. And of course, it predates our concept of religion and God by billions of years. It's an original thing. It's not meant to be an analogy for these people who have taken over. These people who have taken over, that's human nature. It's no surprise to anyone who studies history. But of course, these people who have taken over don't study history. The only thing they care about is power. Cicero predicted it. Aristotle predicted it. George Orwell predicted it. Ayn Rand predicted it because they studied history. This is the fate of every successful republic like Rome or Athens. Once they become fat and sassy, then the politicians start raising taxes on everybody. They let law and order fade. Invaders come in. In the case of Rome, was Visigoths, from up north. But in fact, they didn't invite them in. Nobody's been as stupid as the president in destroying a border. No organism can survive without protecting its borders, neither a single cell nor a nation. Even a child knows this, but enough about that. Scourge has nothing to do with it. Scourge is about an evil we can probably never understand, and that's a recurring theme in Nexus, is that if we run into an alien race, an intelligent alien race, we may never be able to understand them. The differences might be just too great. We'd just be talking past each other. There's a great movie about it called Ender's Game. It's one of the true science fiction movies of recent years.
We can try that trailer again if you like.
Yeah.
All right,
Let's do
here
it.
we go.
An ancient evil, billions of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Baron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Available now at BaronComics.com.
Yeah, baby.
Woo-woo. Was your video designer also the voice?
No, Chris takes care of that. He has a whole number of voice actors he uses.
Very nice.
Well, anytime he needs a voice actor, please tell him I'm available. I was asked to be a broadcaster at some point. My whole family's involved. My uncle used to be Don Imus's newscaster for 30 years. And
Wow.
my cousin, his son Dean, was a newscaster for the local weather channel and the local news channel out in Long Island. So I've done voiceovers and things for other people, and for my own commercials as well. So I'd be more than happy to jump in there if he's
Thank you.
interested in getting somebody else. Yeah, please. Um, so just some other questions. You another interview, you discussed how the 80s was the era of the independent comic era. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think we call it the Iron Age of comics now, the 80s.
I don't know. People are calling this the Iron Age.
This right now is known as the Iron Age.
Yeah.
So bronze, I guess,
Well,
70s,
you call
80s.
it whatever you want. Whether
Yeah.
it sticks or not, that's up to you. However, right now, the independents are drastically different in that there's not a lot of creator-owned titles being published. I know that Image does a bunch, and Dark Horse does a bunch, but certainly Marvel and DC have given up on it, although they used to. I know because I published a number of my own creations through them. Now the books are crowdfunded like mine. They're pricey, but they're big. They're not 22 pages. Some of them are over 100 pages. The book I have coming out from Rippaverse, is 76 pages, and I thought, man, that's a long story for me. But Chuck Dixon's book was 106 pages, Alpha Core, and Chuck can pull it off if it's entertaining. That story's as long as it needs to be. I always felt that I probably wrote too compressed. But nobody ever complained about it. When I do 5 panels a page, I think, wow, I'm really using up the real estate here. But when I gave my script to Pat to do Bronze Star, he took some of those pages and he turned them into 9 and 10 panel pages, and he enhanced the story because it was all visual storytelling. It's not covered with words. You see what he's doing. He's painting a town. And when he paints a town, and by that I mean he draws a town, he draws it from the boardwalk, the nails in the boardwalk up front, to the wagon approaching in the middle distance, to the mountains in the distance. It's the greatest work of his career, which is just phenomenal considering how long he's been around and what he's done. But you can see it, and he agrees, and everybody who's seen it agrees. It's the greatest work of his career.
You only get better with age, like fine wine.
Well, some people. I mean, there are a lot of writers who are deteriorating with age, and there are a lot of artists who don't draw anymore. I could name you some of the greatest artists I've ever worked with, who just don't draw anymore. They can't. One of them, I can mention this because he'll never mind, is Neil Hansen. He was a Canadian, and he used to draw under Spider, and he did a bunch of Badgers, and he did a bunch of Punishers. And he did an original title for Marvel's Epic line called Untamed. And if you can ever find those books, grab them, because he's one of the greatest geniuses I've ever seen work in the form. Well, I've been trying to get him to draw for me again for the last 20 years. And he just says, Mike, I just can't do it anymore. I sit down at the drawing board and nothing comes.
That's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
And what was his first name again?
Neil Hansen.
Neil Hansen. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my old books because
if you got all the Badgers, he drew a whole bunch of them.
I do. As a matter of fact, what happened was I lost my original books on Badger because I had a flood in the basement of my house, and I lost hundreds of comic books. And
Sorry
we're
to
not
hear
talking, yeah, 70s, 60s, and 70s books that I can never replace now. The cost of them would be astronomical. It's killing me. But I wanted to ask you, and we're turning back the clock here to Punisher a little bit. There have been several iterations of movies and TV shows on Punisher. Who is your favorite actor portraying the character of Punisher?
Ray Stevenson.
Ooh, wow, I did not expect that.
Well, the movie's terrible, but he's great. And
Yeah, no.
I like John Bernthal a lot, and I thought that the Netflix Punisher was probably the closest we're going to get to something like the comic. But I also felt that it was unnecessarily complicated. The Punisher is not a very difficult character to understand. When I wrote it, I approached it as a straight crime comic, and for 3 years there were no flying saucers, time travel, or Punisher takes on the Archie universe. It was the Punisher taking out drug cartels, gun runners, crooked bankers, crooked preachers, people that exist in the real world. And there's one issue called Holy Terror where he goes to confession.
Yeah, I think I actually have that old book.
Because he was a devout Catholic, and that's the way I wrote him. And all these changes that came afterward, I can't really speak to them because I haven't read them. But I wish them well. But I saw enough recently when they reprinted pages from the new Punisher where they got rid of the skull and replaced it with a squid or something, and it was,
Wait. They got rid of the skull?
oh yeah.
Wow.
And he became some
Wow.
kind of ninja or something. Just ridiculous because it's such an easy character to get right. Americans love vigilantes.
We do. Absolutely, 100%. I
Is that
think
just baked into our DNA? Like the whole Wild West thing, making your own way. Because yeah, I love a vigilante.
I think it has something to do with our moral values, the good versus the evil. The vigilante is a force of un, uncontrollable goodness, we hope, to rectify the evil.
There are a lot of vigilantes that we call them anti-heroes today because they don't come across as good guys, but when push comes to shove, they do the right thing. But there were people in the West, gunslingers. I'm thinking of, I can't even think of this guy's name. One of the most famous killers of all time was a young kid, the something kid.
Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid, thank you. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't a good guy.
No, he was a bank robber in his later career.
There's a good movie about him called Old Henry, starring Tim Blake Nelson, in which he survives and changes his name, and it's a good classic Western. But I love Westerns, and I love so many different Westerns. One thing they all have in common is the films all take themselves seriously, so I can take them seriously. If a film doesn't take itself seriously, I don't take it seriously. And that's why I admire the spaghetti Westerns, but they're really not among my favorite Westerns because they're so mannered and stylized that I look at it and say, well, this isn't like real life. That's not the way it was. They didn't have these harmonica solos going on and the artsy camera work. And I love the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's nowhere near my top 10 Westerns.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's wild. Yeah. I mean, I still think of him as an anti-hero in that whole sequence, those movies.
Dirty Harry's an anti-hero.
Yes, absolutely. And to some degree, I believe I would consider Badger to be an anti-hero.
I think you're right there. I do think he's an anti-hero. One of his causes is animals. He loves animals and he goes crazy when he sees them being abused. In fact, that's a main theme of the story.
Yep, he's an animal rights activist. He's a
There's
PETA,
another
he's a
comic
PETA
about
loving.
that. It's called Calico. And you may have seen it. It's an independent. I recommend it. It's from Sigma Comics, and it's about an animal rights avenger. And the stories are brutal.
You said Sigma Comics?
Sigma Comics. The character is Calico.
Yep. I've got so many notes from you tonight. I have so much homework after the show. Thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
hey, and on that note, may I wrestle back control from you, Batman?
Yeah,
So we can get in
Absolutely, man.
so we can get into our segments and then hop on
yeah.
out of
Let's do
here.
the jokes.
No, there's one other thing, Mike. I have to do two segments. Okay. Or are you trying to get out of here?
Yeah, it's way past my bedtime.
I knew it was. Okay, okay, fine. We will hop right. No, yes, we will. We'll hop right into the Flip City branded segment, which I do not have a stinger. And one of these days I will make one. I promise. But let me get back to my notes here. All right. So what we are doing is our stupid jokes, and I have prepared I think probably 7 of these jokes for you to read. And I had a little intro for this, but that's okay. I can't find my notes. So this is our stupid jokes. I'm going to read you in, and you're just going to basically read each slide as it comes
Oh,
up.
okay.
All right. So, with a walking joke in our Oval Office, making a mockery of this democracy, Flip City is reminded of the popular adage, never kick a man when his mind is melting down and when we promptly ignore it. And then we promptly ignore it. Now, in what amounts to red meat for you reactionaries, as well as a fishing expedition for impressionable new readers, we offer this collection of punishingly tasteless goofs and gags aimed at a man who skillfully blends incompetence with incontinence. So, if you came here expecting something more cerebral, then the joke's on you. And here's our first one.
Yeah, that's a great cartoon.
Thank you. Oh, dude, we love our Pester Pooch.
But there's nothing to read. I'd rather people just look
It is,
at it.
it's on the top.
Yeah. Oh, what movie inspired Joe to run for re-election? Ah,
And there's the punchline, Mike. It's The Mummy Returns.
I see it. The Mummy Returns. Joe, can we see your visitor's logs? His brain's been wiped too. No, you can't. All my visitors flush. That's terrible. Why does Joe insist on buying shoes one size too small? He wants to reduce his carbon footprint. How many Bidens does it take to screw in a light bulb? Groan. The Bidens are too busy screwing Americans to screw in light bulbs. Why is Hunter wandering around the Oval Office? Joe told him to stand in the corner. Why did Ashley Biden leave her baby shower? Oh, I know what's coming. Joe showed up in a towel carrying soap.
And that is all we're going to make you read tonight. Though, as you can see, we have plenty of terrible jokes from Flip City's volume 16, which it's too bad for anybody that wants to read all of these awesomely horrible jokes because volume 16 is sold out. And that's why it's important to go subscribe at flipcitymag.com so you don't miss any of our terrible comedy.
And I
Thank
want to
you,
add
Mike.
that Flip City is honestly funny. I mean, it's much funnier than Mad Magazine or Cracked because there's a bite to the humor. It's not all those cartoons are great, but some of the articles I read have been a real stitch. They're intellectual. They appeal to discerning people. It's not sarcasm, it's satire. And I urge you to subscribe to Flip City.
Well, thank you, Mike. And that reminded me, part of my write-up before we were supposed to start this was I did want to make you aware that we patented a writing style for Flip City Mag that goes like this. So you ready? It goes smart, smart, fart, 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 smart, smart, fart. And that's pretty much describes Flip City. So thank you for letting my audience know that it's actually somewhat intellectual. That's the
You're
smart
welcome.
part. But
Thank
I
you
gave
for
you the
having
fart
me
part
on.
tonight. Yes. Thank you for participating in the terrible jokes tonight.
Good night, folks.
Bye
Mike,
bye.
thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. As a true fanboy of Badger, it's really a pleasure to be able to have this time to speak with you. Thank you
It
very
was a
much.
delight to speak with you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike just cut our show short by 10 minutes. I'm like, did we offend him?
No, I don't think
I'm
we
kidding.
offended him at all. It's just late and he's got to go to bed.
Yes, I do know that. But why don't we fill out the last 10 minutes of the show why don't we FAFO, dude? How are we going to FAFO tonight?
What do you got?
Well, I don't know.
You want to do a tinfoil hat conspiracy?
Yes, in fact, I've never. Okay, yes, let's go to Conspiracy Corner with Batman because I've never even done this with you. Conspiracy Corner, let's do it.
I wanna live with a conspiracy girl. I could be prepping the rest of my life with a conspiracy girl.
Those weren't aliens. I was taking the time to like burp. Okay, yeah, I was unmuted, so you guys might have heard that. All right, so welcome to Creative Chaos's Conspiracy Corner, Batman.
Thank you.
I don't think we've ever really had much of a conspiracy conversation, which is kind of crazy. I think we've known each other, a third of a year now?
Yeah, at least.
Well, you know what Conspiracy Corner is all about, so just lay it on me, brother.
Okay. So I was really like, at first, I was really mad and angry about the Sandy Hook situation. And then I started getting videos that I was seeing on YouTube about how there was a military mission that was being military exercise that was being executed literally less than 5 miles away from Sandy Hook. And then I started seeing other things. And the further away we got from the actual date of the incident, there's photographs and footage of these kids and their parents that were supposedly dead that are still alive. And then I started hearing the term crisis actor. That was the first time I heard the term crisis actor, to be honest with you. And that made me focus in on a few other things that were going on. There was one that just recently came out where this young girl who's claiming to be Ukrainian says, I am Ukrainian and this is my car. And they show a blown up car. I am Ukrainian and this is my house and it's a blown up house. I am Ukrainian. And she's this cute little girl. She's got to be in her 20s. She's got big tits, a big ass, and a thin waist. And she's wearing camouflage pants and a khaki shirt. And then they show her
propaganda assholes.
Yeah, right, exactly. She goes, I'm Ukrainian and this is my church. And it's a blown up building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see that, and then somebody was smart enough to do their dig on her, and then they show her on a yacht in a bikini drinking a cocktail. Then they show her leaning on her Porsche. She's a YouTuber or a TikTok star, and they got her to become a crisis actress.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit. And this is the type of stuff that you see. When we first saw the Ukrainian bombings and all that stuff, then you saw the video of a plane being shot down, and you see a car on the highway driving, and it passes what looks like a TIE fighter with one of Darth Vader's men standing there leaning up against the TIE fighter that was crashed on the road. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Then they use video games to show, people a news segment, and they use the segment from a video game.
Yes,
people
I've heard that before.
So this is where I started with my being a conspiracy theorist was back during Sandy Hook. And so
Okay.
that's how I came into it.
At how long ago was that then? How long ago was Sandy Hook?
Oh
Was
my
that
God.
Like 2004?
I was just going to say 2004.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, look
gonna
that
look
up
that up
because
real
I'm
quick.
just interested in knowing if
Google
because to me that's like conspiracy theory trivia at this point. Like, how bad is the psyop? Like, because that's the thing too. Like, with me personally, it's like we're so very often psyop, and it seems like almost everything's a fucking conspiracy theory. Like, I just stopped paying attention. Something that for forever I kind of just heard rumblings of because I was I'm always a conspiracy theorist because everything's a fucking conspiracy. Um
11 months ago, 11 years ago.
11
So
years ago.
11 years ago. So it'd be 2012.
2012. And what did I guess? 2004?
That's what I was thinking
Okay.
also, 2004. So that's when I became a conspiracy theorist, was right after Sandy Hook.
Okay, well, let
Um,
me ask you this. Did you start immediately going into 9/11, or are you still like, no, 9/11, that's the official story?
9/11 was also actually probably about 3 years or 4 years after 9/11. There was stuff that was coming out. Yeah, so I would say that 2004 was about the time I started becoming a conspiracy theorist, and then Sandy Hook just solidified it for me. There wasn't a lot of stuff out there, and I wasn't a digger because I'm such an analog man. I consider myself to be tech-tarded. So being a tech-tard and
You actually
an
brag
analog,
about it.
I do. I brag about being an analog man. Absolutely, 100%.
No, you brag about being tech-tarded, not
Yes,
analog
absolutely.
man.
Oh, well, that too. I do. I used to.
Actually, those are way more attractive watches than anything, though. Like, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so I wear an analog watch to this day. But yes, I would say 2004 was 9/11. It wasn't until 3 years after 9/11 when people started talking to me about it, and I got a lot of inside story from a lot of the firemen that survived
Mhm.
because of my business, owning a pet hotel. There were a lot of my customers were firemen and policemen. And some of the stories, we actually have a 9/11 display in my lobby, and the 9/11 display is filled with product, patches, pieces of the building, glass from the building, from the Twin Towers that were given to me by these firemen and policemen that were there. And some of the stories that I heard right up front were puzzling to me, especially the one where there was an explosion while they were running away from the building. Before it started, they heard an explosion and they felt the earth rumble and they started running away from the building before it collapsed. So they heard a succession of booms, which we know today, those that studied it, that there were incendiary devices that were set inside the center pillars of the building.
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much by digging into 9/11 because that was my red pill was 9/11, and including the word squibs. If 9/11 never happened, I would not know what squib meant. But
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, you could see those squibs coming out that building. That is a controlled demolition. For fuck's sake. Come on. For fuck's sake, two giant, giant, giant things right down into their footprints, and then one that wasn't even hit by a fucking plane.
But wait a minute. That building number 7, the American
Mhm.
Express building, collapsed and blew up before the towers came down.
No, it didn't. I didn't know that. No, it didn't. It did? Like, officially.
There was the
No, it really
officially
did.
officially it exploded before the squibs went off on the towers. So that building was damaged supposedly by the rest of the towers falling on it, but it exploded before, like there was explosions that were heard to the left and right as they were running away from the towers.
Dude, there's smoking guns laying all over 9/11. Everything's
Yeah.
a freaking smoking gun. I mean, do you remember? I don't even remember what news agency or anything, but they announced the collapses before they happened.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yes.
Oh my god! And anywhere like I'm online, like doing any 9/11 stuff, because stuff pops up, and people are like, anybody that says 9/11 is an inside job or doesn't question, is an idiot. And I'm like, dude, go, just look at this couple of things, just these couple of things, and then come back to me, and they never do. So that's interesting. So you went. You're muted for some reason. Again, I can't hear you.
I have my earbud. I mute all the
That's what
time
it is.
because I'm
Yeah.
about to cough, so I'll mute before. When you see me playing with my ear, it's muting my earbud.
Okay. Oh, speaking of coughing, by the way, and I have to tell everybody because I'm kind of proud of myself. I quit smoking. I have not smoked for 1 week now. One whole week. I
Mazel
haven't had
tov.
any tobacco.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah,
I think
but,
starting
it's
smoking cigars started me coughing again.
Yeah. How long have you? Now, did you used to smoke cigarettes?
Never.
Never. So you never inhaled.
Never inhaled marijuana and cigars and pipes back in college.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Nicotine's quite a weird drug. I think the actual addiction to nicotine is not really any kind of physical thing. It's all in your fucking head. It's all in your brain.
I would
So,
agree with that. And nicotine in general is not necessarily a bad chemical. It's a different type of chemical, and it's the other shit that they add into the cigarettes that makes them harmful for you. Because if you go back and you think about all of the original cigarettes that they had out there without the filters, the old Camels or the Lucky Strikes or any of those old ones that our grandparents smoked. I know a guy that's in his 90s that still smokes to this day, and he smokes those old cigarettes, and he's as healthy as the day is long.
hey, I gotta thank Paul Thaddeus for gifting the shades, basically saying, "Keep up the good work, Christy." And you're quitting smoking. I have no idea if Paul was ever a smoker or anything, but I like that guy. I really, really love your streams, Paul, just so you know. Like, you're one of my favorite foxholers. And that's something also about Foxhole. The people that have like kind of the smaller audiences and all that, like, you guys have the chillest fucking streams. Like, those are my favorite people on the Foxhole, or the smaller streams. I think because the giant ones, they're all political. And I'm like, fear, stress. Like, ew, get off me. Not that I don't respect what those people do, but I think I'm done with the politics. I don't know. Are you done with the politics?
Can you hear me or am I muted?
You're good.
Okay. First off, I am done with the politics. I've been so done with the politics that I bounced out of a lot of shows I used to watch religiously from 9 in the morning, starting with Liana Wilbert, who I'm still friendly with. I just haven't watched her stream in probably a good 6 or 7 months. I just got burned out on it. I got tired of the same bullshit over and over and over and over. I don't even watch my brother Red Pill, who I absolutely love, Red Pill 78. His shows aren't necessarily political. He's always got some really great, entertaining guests. But I just got tired of the podcasting in general because you get so wrapped up. And there's only 3 podcasts that I still follow to this day. Dilly Show, Three Beermen, and Flip City Magazine.
That was adorable. I love that.
Hey, I'm just so done. I'm so done with the bullshit. And every day it's like they beat you over the head with it to the point where I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Which is why I kind of checked out of a lot of things. And I didn't look, people, if you're out there, whether you listen to this live or you listen to this in replay, I love my Foxhole family. Don't get me wrong. And if I haven't reached out to you, if we haven't spoken in a while, it's not because I don't like you. It's not because I'm turned off. I've basically unplugged. I've unplugged from the monotonous brain teasers, the monotonous digging, the monotonous, it's like I feel like somebody's taking a hammer with a nail to my head all the time these days, and I just got tired of it. So I backed off. So if you guys are out there and you have my number and you want to reach out to me, like Judy the Lady Pug, I love you, Judy. Yes, please call me sometime tomorrow. Tonight, I am going to go to sleep. Shortly after the stream, I'm going to just go wash up and go to bed because I literally spent the whole afternoon driving back here from Tampa. So I'm
I
burnt.
also have to say to Judy that I felt kind of bad that you said you still drink, you still dream about smoking. Like I literally want to be free from it. She had written, Judy had written that she loved smoking, blah blah blah. Me personally, I we didn't we rolled our own cigarettes, so it was like pretty much pure tobacco, not anything. But also we didn't have filters or anything like that. Me personally, I just felt like I needed to I needed to quit to clear my lungs out because I can't breathe how I want to breathe to meditate. Like just
I'm
being
gonna
that congested and all that. It's like
I'm gonna
sorry, I have to give it up so I can fucking breathe. You know?
Oh, Judy, I said Three Beermen. Three Beermen is my other podcast that I do and I listen to all the time. Yeah, I'm just catching up with the chat. So it's Three Beermen, The Dilly Show, and Creative Chaos. I still follow those
No,
shows
Flip
religiously.
City.
Flip
I like
City,
that.
Creative Chaos.
Yeah, well,
Flip
and
City. Flip City.
that's something too that's something too that I wonder about these people that like kind of grew their audience based on doing like news coverage and all that kind of stuff. I just wonder how bad their burnout is on it, and if they've been toying with either quitting or changing what they're doing with their shows. This is kind of like the
Okay,
same
so
information over and over and over and over.
I actually have a comment on that.
Okay.
Look at somebody like Scotty from Woke Societies.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a living off of his show. He moved out of New York, upstate New York, and moved to Tennessee to get away from paying high prices and to be able to live comfortably with his wife and his 2 or 3 or 4 kids he's got now, or the third, fourth one on the way. I don't know what he's got going on now, but he lives on his streaming intake. So somebody like him can't afford to step down. Somebody like him can't afford to walk away from Foxhole or Badlands Media or whatever, all the streaming services that he's on. Somebody
Well,
like Methods.
not even necessarily step down. Just change what kind of content you're putting out there. Like, let's do this now.
Well, somebody like Methods
Because
who burned himself
I've
out.
known him for years, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I guess in the amount of time that I've known Scott, because I've known him for years now, and that's the thing with me too. I am not like somebody that sees everybody's stream every single time or anything. I just don't do that. But I do follow a lot of people and check in on them every once in a while. Scott has changed because he did a lot of like, oh, we're doing Q drops, blah, 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 blah. And then it just seemed like something happened where he doesn't do that as much. But that's the thing too. I don't know exactly what happened because I don't follow him every single day. And that's something too about the whole streaming game, where it seems like people expect that if you're going to be part of my community, you've got to be here for every show, you know? And I don't feel that way about my stream. It's like, oh my God, you came and looked at me like once every 5 months. But if I recognize your name, that's pretty freaking cool. I don't know, am I wrong? I think you're muted again, honey.
How about now?
Yep, you're good. Hey, and just to let you know, so I don't forget, because I've been getting donations tonight, I am going to release a scratch-in now.
Sounds like a plan. Go ahead and do that. But I
I
just wanted to
also
say, because it is 10:10, and it's not like we have time constraints. Our guest has already bounced out. And a great show that it was. I was very happy to have him on again tonight. And thank you for inviting him back. That was amazing to be able to get to talk with him, because last time he was on, I think I was away as well. But I
actually,
couldn't join the stream.
the last time he was on, you guys were not even on the show, because it was my second or maybe third show. And
Okay,
I was doing it through StreamYard and blah, 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 blah.
gotcha. Okay,
And
that makes
I just
sense.
gotta say, Judy, Judy just wakes up guilty from her dreams of smoking, thinking that she had smoked. Lady, I gotta know, because that's the thing too. I'm like, oh, stupid nicotine. I hate you, nicotine. I just want to be free from it and be done.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And let's see if I can do some scratching here. Let's see, do I get anything?
Oh yeah, do
Did I
I
get
get a try to
anything?
scratch off too?
Hey, I got a
You
couple.
got, oh my God, what's going on here? It's all
I just
broken.
kept going, and it kept going. Para Daisy? Sí, bueno, para mí. Sí. Yeah, go ahead. Keep scratching. There you go. Do it again. Do it
Yeah, I'm
again. Do it
scratching too.
again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Hey,
So
this
it'll
is
keep
fun.
going. Sometimes it'll keep going if there's extra out there. But yeah, it's been crazy because getting back to the quitting smoking bit, um driving down to visit my sister um down south on the East Coast. We stopped off at my cousin out in Titusville first, and I smoked a cigar the whole way down. And it was
Hmm.
like a 2.5 hour ride, and I smoked that cigar till it was a nub. And I got so sick that like my throat started burning, and I thought, okay, what's going on? The further south I got into Florida, the more my allergies kicked in. Up here in
Okay.
Gainesville, I wasn't feeling it. I get down south, and all of a sudden, I'm full blown allergies. I haven't been able to stop blowing my nose since I got halfway south, and then the rest of the way down to the Delray area, the Boynton Beach area. Oh my God, I literally was up half the night. Yes, Elvia. Okay, I will pass on, Judy. Thank you. Love from Judy, Elvia. Love from Judy. She says love back. Judy the lady pug and her husband, her wonderful husband, have been up here to visit us a couple of times. They don't live all but an hour and a half away from us, and so they come to visit us on a regular basis out here. And we're going to be in town for another week and a half, so we're going to make arrangements to get to see them hopefully one more time before we go back north. But yeah, just the allergies kicked in and kicked my ass down there, and it's like everything's in full bloom. And it's like
Okay.
they went right from winter right into summer. They didn't even have a fall. I'm sorry, a spring. They literally went straight into summer. And I'm just getting something out right now that my cousin Russell gave me. You guys are gonna love this. he got me a Batman figure that
Oh, that's
he
nice.
found at a vintage store in his neighborhood. So really cool.
Nice.
Really cool.
Hey, Bruce, just real quick, I just wanted to shout out Media Bear popping in, Dr. Clown. You know, Dr. Clown, I just want to let you know if you're still out there, I want to have you back on, you and Karen Bowl, because I don't think you were involved in that stream either, were you?
No, it was before
Dude,
my time.
yeah, you got to hang out with us and Dr. Clown, and
Wait,
in
no,
one
I
of
was on
his,
with Dr. Clown. Dr.
you
Clown
were.
was actually my first
Oh, that was
stream
your
with
first
you.
one.
Yeah, and he was awesome. He
Yeah,
was
and
awesome.
yeah, and
He
that's the thing
wears
too. They're still active. They're still actively like pushing back on the mainstream media with their like parody comedy music. So there's
I love
always
their
something
stuff.
to talk about with Media Bear, aka
Sure.
Dr. Clown. And then also I think his BFF forever is Mo Tibber. And so he checked in as well. And he literally says, hola, boss. So I don't know, maybe Dr. Clown employs them. DC Toon Time? I don't think I remember that name whatsoever over on our channel. So thank you. Welcome to Creative Chaos and Resistance Homesteading. Says, oh man, Mo Tibber and Media Bear is in here. This is epic. Flip City rocks. So I'm thinking maybe Media Bear was streaming tonight and said, hey everybody, let's go see what Christy's doing being an idiot. So wherever you guys came from, thank you for popping into Creative Chaos and saying what is up.
That's great. And after we get off our stream tonight, I'm gonna go check out my good friend, my new best friend, Mike Barron's website, barroncomics.com, and see what he's got going on his site because um, I had such a good time with him that I want to catch up on what's going on with Nexus. Thank you, Cosmic, for pulling that up. And I want to also see. He said there's a new Badger comics in the works.
Yeah, that's
So
fantastic. And that's the other thing too. And something I need to, which by the way, if good stuff you still happen to be out there, I need to be good friends with Fanta over on your show because she's doing the same thing I am. And I know my two guys on this show know I'm not a comic book person, but I have decided I'm committing to like wanting to love comic books because why wouldn't I? I love awesome stories and I love good art. I just never got into mainstream comics. So my thing is, I want to get into mainstream. I want to get into comics by doing only indies and freaking Mike's description of Nexus. Like that sounds really entertaining and dark and weird. But also, I know Mike has kind of a savage sense of humor. So I think it'll be entertaining in that way as well. You're muted.
yes, he does. He is very savage, and he's also, from what I understand, he's a huge purveyor of flour, if you will. Um, the herbal remedies that I so much enjoy that helps me quell my ADD.
Your herbal remedies. Wank.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, and that's the other thing too. And I want to talk to you more about this offline, but something that I was talking to Batman about privately earlier, and anybody that happens to be watching me on Foxhole or any of these other things is I actually want to do a California meetup sometime this summer, even possibly in through the end of September, because California is awesome and there's good weather and we can camp through the end of September. So if anybody's interested, DM me over on Foxhole, or you can email flipcity at flipcitymag.com. Something that I have been struggling with a little bit, not really struggling because I live in a beautiful area and have an awesome husband and am making this awesome magazine, but I do struggle a little bit with loneliness. It is freaking hard in this digital information age to basically only to like not really meet people in meet space. And I feel like that's important. So I want to meet people. We're in California. I want to do a California meetup. I've been talking to other readers and affiliates and stuff like that of Flip City Magazine. We want to do a meetup in California, even if you don't live in California and want to take a vacation in California because it's a freaking awesome state. Email me or DM me, and we're gonna figure it out.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cough in your ear. We are doing a meetup in June for our dear brother who had since passed on. I mentioned it to you as well. Dave the Hermit, or as we know, Off Grid in the 49th, in Spokane, Washington, on his property. And it will be a camp out. And this will be in June, so the weather should be good. And I would love to have you and Scotty come up and join us.
You know, I really, really want to do that as well. And it would even be interesting to even possibly see if we could coincide, like even one weekend apart, those things, and do a West Coast thing. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, okay,
Yeah.
especially for people that like are traveling from other places. It's like, oh, okay, do something up in Washington this weekend or weekish. And then like anybody that wants to travel down the coast a bit, do another meetup in California. Anyway, I I just want to meet I want to meet cool people in real like interface. So we're supposedly interfacing right now, but it's just not, it's
We've done that. We've done several meetups here in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. And it's been a lot of fun. It's actually more than the tri-state area. It's the quad state area, but yes. And the meetups have been wild. And the one thing that bothers me still to this day is Cosmic and I have known each other probably almost 4 years now, and we've been working together 3, and we haven't even had the opportunity to meet face to face.
yes.
So
I know it is funny that you guys do live drivable
yeah,
between each other and still have not, and you guys have been doing your show. But one thing I gotta fucking good stuff, you weirdo. He says, what's a California meetup? Like a key party? I'm from Ohio. I don't know these things. You perv. You weirdo. You know, his show with Belmont Press, by the way, our guest last week, and good stuff. They do a show together. It's called The Man Cave. I don't know if you even know this, Batman.
yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, our good friend Belmont last week talked about his man cave show.
Okay. I'm glad somebody pays attention to our shows because I just like wait for my turn to talk. So
No, I think tonight was a great show, and thank you for letting me take the reins with Mike. I hope I
It
didn't
was
bounce around
fun.
too much for him because I was all over the boards with my ADD.
No, I think you did a really good interview and something that I appreciated, and I think we should do the flip the script or something like that. I just came up with that off the top of my head because something there had to be some kind of title for what we were doing tonight.
Sure.
So I called it flip the script, and I appreciated it because I got to pay attention to the chat more.
I'm up for that anytime you are. Just you got to give me fair warning though, because I need time to do my homework and I need time to prep for the show.
I gave you fair warning. Are you trying to blame
You
me
did.
that I didn't give you
No,
fair
no,
warning?
no, 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 no. 100%. I'm just saying for future shows, if you want to flip the script again, give me time, like
I
you did
do.
this time.
I do, and in fact, I've been missing my friend Woo's News, so that's probably what we're gonna do next time. Yeah, I'll flip the script with Woo's News, let you take the reins again. But I fucking love Rafa. Talk about red pill and like breaking up the cognitive dissonance. He's really good at doing that. And I have a feeling he needs to be a little more social. Well, see, and that's the
Okay.
thing, and that's the thing. He lives in LA. He lives like an hour from me, and I still have not met him.
So maybe that should be a live meetup show and we do that.
Oh, that'd be awesome because that's the other thing too. He's like, I really want you to come out to LA and see my apartment because it's freaking awesome. And I'm like, ew, LA gross. He's like, why does everybody hate LA? And I'm like, because it's LA. That's why. And then also just to let you know that over on YouTube, George Washington X is telling you don't blame me for not prepping you. So I
No,
have
you've been
friends
very
out
good
there.
about prepping me. You got friends out there, yes. No, you did prep me. I just, if for future shows, I need to make it clear that that was perfect. And if we need to do this again, and I'm up for it, just keep me in the loop early enough like we did that I could do my research.
You know, I really love how actually no, I feel like it I love it live, right? But later when I self-reflect, I'm like, dude, I was so like I'm such a fucking asshole to Batman. I'm like, I feel like I want to text you because I get insecure. I'm like, I really try to be a nice person. I try, but I can't help myself. I'm an asshole. And it's only because you backpedal and take it way too seriously.
I tend to do that. I do tend to take things a little too much seriously, and I try not to, but I'm not stoned right now, so I can't just be light and breezy. I got so much on my head, which is why I need to decompress sometimes and smoke a little because I find that I'm much more light and breezy when I'm buzzed.
Okay, listen. My good friend over on YouTube, George Washington X, says you're threatening me now. Oh, fucking. But on the other hand, this stuff says I'm mean. I'm being mean to you. So, well, I think we've successfully split the chat. We've polarized the chat, and hopefully we get to see an all-out, like fight between George Washington and good stuff over there on YouTube.
There you go. Well, thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. She said, "Can I say something? You are not a fucking asshole." Thank you, Judy.
She was
Unless she was directing that at
saying
you.
me.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I never called you an asshole. I called
Oh,
myself. See,
okay, okay.
see, see how it is,
That's
Batman.
it. I just take things too seriously.
Hey, I
I'm
have
not
fun with you,
stoned.
and I'm really, what I'm looking forward to is because our freaking awesome producer, Cause, and you guys have like known each other and been doing your thing for 3 years. I'm just super excited to do that with you guys too, and get to know you guys better and all that because
Well,
I like you.
we'd
I
lo
like you.
we'd love to have you on the show again.
I think we should. I think we should, dude. We should have done it on 420, except for that wasn't like your day of the week because you guys do Sundays, right?
Yeah.
That was a Saturday.
We still
Dude,
we
we
still
should
st we
literally
still
have a.
celebrated.
I'm sure you did because that was only the day after. I think the next. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Oh wait, this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. Okay, okay. So there's a thing we're gonna do with Three Beer Men. Me and Scott made a documentary, and we're not even gonna talk about that like all the way, but me and Scott made a documentary that kind of like got fucked in the ass because of ego and all that kind of stuff. But it is
Right.
a completed documentary. And I did want to, and what we're going to do eventually is we are going to do some kind of stream with Three Beer Men, kind of premiering it, doing a behind the scenes type of thing. You guys are going to freaking love it. Anybody that likes Flip City will love the movie that we made because it has a, what would you say, B or C list celebrity attached? It's not an A list.
We're talking about the Frank Zappa one?
No. What are you talking about? Frank Zappa.
Lost my train of thought.
No, but we're not revealing the thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I'm confusing.
Oh,
I'm confusing.
I think you even forgot what we were doing because you were obsessed for like 3 weeks after you met us with our project, and now you've totally forgot what it is.
I'm so brain fried right now.
No, that's
I
okay.
can't even think
We'll
straight.
we'll 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 talk we'll talk off
Off
screen
camera.
about it. But yeah. Oh, well, anyway, but I did want to tell both you and Cause that Scott has been working on it and improving it and all that kind of stuff. So it is still on the docket. We haven't forgot about it, but obviously you have. So I shouldn't have even
I'm
brought
sure
it up.
once you remind me exactly who we're talking about,
I'll
it'll all
remind you
flood
both
back.
after the show.
Thank you, Cosmic. All right. So why don't we
He's
close
gonna
up
remind me about my movie.
why don't we close
I
out our
love it.
show?
Yes, this is how awesome Cause is, though. You know, he's gonna remind me about my movie.
Well,
All
we've
right,
been
all right.
patiently waiting for you for this movie.
Yes, okay. Yes, we're gonna end the stream, and usually what we're supposed to do is say, please like, share, and subscribe. I don't know if you muted on accident again. Like, share, and subscribe. Give me money if you want to congratulate me. Gold pills for not smoking for 1 week. I will totally take that. Thank you, Paul Thaddeus, for the gold pills. And that's the other thing too. I'm trying to remember to do is thank the people that donated over on Pilled, because I think that's the only place that we get donations currently. So check out pilled.net, you guys. Dude, like while I'm live, like I get really tech tarded like you too, Batman. And you might be muted still because I still don't hear you.
How about now?
I can't find Pilled anymore. But okay, yes, I can hear you. Paul Thaddeus and 451 Actual, aka No Prisoners Podcast, and Judy Hugapug. That is what I remember from memory. Thank you guys for your gold pill donations. That goes towards my next week's beer supply, and that feels like I can maybe get a 6-pack.
It's Judy the Lady Pug, not Judy Hugapug. Judy
But
the
they're married.
Lady Pug.
They're married.
It's all good.
Right? They're married.
Sorry?
I'm assuming Adam Hugapug and Judy the Lady Pug are married.
Not at all.
I always just thought they were.
Not even remotely. No. Actually, Judy the Lady Pug's husband is a very interesting guy, and I don't want to divulge too much, but let's just say he has a very extensive military background that would be a great story arc for a show, for several shows, because he's just such an interesting kind of guy. And I love the Colonel dearly, so I would love to get together with them soon. So Judy, if you're still out there listening, honey, give us a call tomorrow, because right after we end the stream, I'm washing up and I'm kicking it in bed. I'm done.
Oh. All right. Anyway, yes. So Bruce wants to go to bed. I think that is okay with me as well. So we should feel lucky that that Mike wanted to call it an early one tonight, and we got through Conspiracy Corner, and I know exactly where your conspiracy brain started. Thank you, everybody, for coming to Creative Chaos. Love you. I had a really great time with the chat tonight. I'm gonna try to do more chat interactions during the show. That's the fun part.
Judy just sent you another cookie. She just dropped another cookie. You not smoking. For not smoking.
Thank
you. Not smoker,
and
you.
That's the thing too. That helps you. Sweet things. Sweet things. Shove your mouth with sweet things and get over the smoking. All right. So thank you again. Next week. Oh, next week's guest is going to be freaking awesome. This is going to be really, really fun. We are bringing in Deft Hand Amin from Flip City Magazine, our lead parody artist. And we are premiering our latest parody, the Oak Island Ancient Aliens parody. So freaking hilarious. We're going to love it. So we're doing that next week. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and see you guys next week.